couple of them out there still. See them again now. They're like straight lift. Yeah.
Rain coming?
Right behind you. Got catfish in here?
What do you got?
Gotta be a channel cat. No, it's a bass. Little 6 cents flutter spoon action, baby. On the big metal. Yeah. Starting to figure them out. Hey everybody, Lee Livesay here, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. We're going to talk flutter spoons real quick. These are two flutter spoons from 6 cents. This is the Magnum HD flutter spoon, and this is the Divine flutter spoon. You got two, big variables in sizes, but sometimes it makes a lot of difference. I've seen it time and time over, whether it's the lake, the bait, or just the time of year when one will outproduce the other, and it's just one of those deals where you kind of got to test the waters. If you find a school of fish that looks like the leader spoon, try that Divine at first, and if they don't bite it, I've seen the big Magnum, that HD spoon, really, catch every fish out of the school. So you have two sizes, two different variables to try to get your schools fired up. And just kind of tell you some of the techniques and areas and places that I look for it. And this is mainly for the mainstay going to be a summer, early summer to late summer deal, and then in the fall again, when those fish get grouped up early in the summer, once they're done with their post spawn little routine, and then in the winter when they get grouped up again. And I've seen it a lot in the late summer too, when those fish just get beat to death on those ledges. They'll move off that sweet spot a little bit, that road bed or that hump, and they'll suspend off the bottom, 4 or 5 foot, where if you're dragging a worm or a jig that you're just dragging under them, they're not going to pay attention to that that worm or jig, because they've seen it all year long. And you can pick up that that big flutter spoon and really get those fish fired up and catch them. We're just going to talk about the Magnum at first. I'm going to throw it on a big rod. It's a great big bait. Look at that thing. It's huge. You're imitating a great big gizzard shad for the most part. So I'm going to throw it on a high-speed reel, 17 or 20 pound fluorocarbon line, and a big rod, a 7.6, 7.9, medium heavy. You don't want a real heavy action rod, but you want a long rod. You want to be able to hook those fish with that big treble hook and keep them pinned up. That high-speed reel is huge too. That long rod and the high-speed reel. I'm going to take that spoon, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to mark a school on a road bed or a hump, or you might see them suspended on your forward-facing sonar above a brush pile or something. I'm going to throw that spoon out there, and if it's a school close to the bottom, I'll let it go all the way to the bottom. As soon as it hits the bottom, I'm going to rip my rod up and reel at the same time. You're ripping and reeling, getting that flutter spoon to rip past those fish, and then letting it fall on a slack line right past them. It'll fall backwards. This big Magnum spoon, you'll see when you throw it in the water, it'll fall backwards, and the other one too. And that's just a technique that, man, it makes those fish, not only is it coming through a zone that they're at, suspended, but it makes them react. Man, it'll rip past them, they'll kind of turn towards it, and it falls right back in their face, and they can't resist it at the right place and the right time. It's a really good technique. So just, it takes a little, rhythm. You'll get in a little rhythm, because every spoon's a little different, from the little one to the big one, and you'll feel that fall. You want to feel that spoon till it hits the bottom again, then you're reeling and ripping it up again, and then letting it fall on a slack line, and then reeling your line up and ripping your rod again. The same, same thing with the little spoon, the Divine. It's the same technique, same rods, and it's something that, a lot of people, they might fire a school up on it, and they do it too much. Man, when you get a school, if they're gonna fire on it, you're gonna catch every fish in that school. Boom, 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 boom. And then you're gonna need to give them a little break and come back to them in a little bit. So it's a really cool bait. Catches a lot of big fish all over the country. I've caught a lot of big stringers on Lake Fork with this big spoon right here, and it's just something that a lot of people aren't comfortable with. So if you ever see a little school of fish that's kind of off to the side, suspended over a brush pile, something like that. And one other technique that I have seen is in big marinas, And I haven't done it much with the Magnum spoon, but I've done it with the, you know, this Divine size right here. And that's throwing the flutter spoon in marina slips. You know, you'll have fish get suspended under those floating marina slips, you know, back under it. And you'll throw that spoon in there and let it flutter back underneath that walkway or that pontoon, whatever they're suspended on, and really jack them. And it's a really cool technique. You can catch a lot of fish really fast. It's really fun when you get them fired up. And it's just, you know, a cool technique y'all need to check out. Check them both out at 6centsfishing.com. All right, guys, we're throwing the 6 Cents Divine Flutter Spoon. I'm gonna kind of walk you through a cast. I'm just fishing a drain right now. There's some bass feeding on some shad in this drain. Gotta throw it out there and let it fall on semi-slack line, you know. These fish are in about 18 to 20 foot of water, so I'm gonna count it down there to about 15, and then I'll start tightening my line up to make sure one doesn't eat it on the fall so I can feel them. So just general right there, I'm gonna kind of tighten up where I can feel. It just hit the bottom. I'm reeling and ripping at the same time, then letting that spoon fall back on a slack line, semi-slack line. As soon as it hits the bottom, I'm ripping and reeling, then letting it fall back. They're gonna bite it on the fall 99.9% of the time. That's when you feel that spoon fall, and it's just gonna be a little thump, usually on the way down. It'll be super simple. You don't wanna keep your line really tight on the way down, but you wanna keep a little slack in it, let that spoon fall backwards, right back in their face. Ripping it up, letting it fall. Always keeping a little bit of contact on the fall just so you can feel them hit it. There he is, right there. Hit it on the fall. We got them fired up now. You don't play with them with the spoon, you get them in the boat, baby, just like that. Came off in the boat, another little chunk on that 6 Cents Divine Flutter Spoon, man. If you're not throwing it in the fall, summertime, you're missing out. It gets the fish fired up. Nothing better to get a good reaction strike. Just about to open my mouth and say there's not enough of them in there to get them fired up, and he pumped it. Six Cents Divine Flutter Spoon. Putting in work out here. Beautiful fall day. That's it, man. Check that flutter spoon out. That's that Divine Flutter Spoon. That's that smaller one. Catching some good ones. Got some fish suspended in some drains. Beautiful bass. Nothing better than that spoon bite, baby. You ready for another one? Mm-hmm. Not many out there, but I bet another one bites it. Yeah, there's definitely more in there than I think. Better one.
Oh yeah. This picture. Yeah.
Couldn't see where it was. Smoke that Divine Flutter Spoon. I think that was a second hop. Casts in a row. Open your mouth, big girl. Flutter spoons in the fall. That's a 6 Cents Divine Flutter Spoon. If you ain't throwing one, you're missing out, baby. We're getting them fired up.